Hey everybody, it's Monika and welcome to my channel where I help social workers, therapists, and helping professionals deepen their level of self-awareness and increase their competence and confidence in the profession. For today's video, I want to talk about 4 reasons why your overperformance might not be positioning you to get the raise and it can actually be working against you. So if you're interested in this topic, then please keep watching. I'm Monika Thomas, the founder and clinical social worker at Kindred Connections Therapy Center. I've been a social worker for over 12 years. I decided to do an entire YouTube channel on my journey from cubicle working social worker to successful entrepreneur. Welcome to my channel. Hey social workers. So if you've ever gone above and beyond in a role, you've given your all, you take on more responsibilities, you work on special projects, and you still don't see an opportunity for a raise, then this video is for you. Because sometimes I think, especially as Black women, because we've been taught this narrative about needing to be twice as good or working twice as hard, we've internalized that and taken that into our work roles. And I think it's really working to our detriment. And I want to break down the 4 reasons why I think that's the case. One of the reasons why this might be working against you is because your supervisor or your team don't see your contribution as a value add to the company. They've positioned it as it being business as usual, something that you need to do because you're a social worker and we help our clients and we make sure that they have what they need. They give this illusion of this 100% satisfaction that they want you to work toward, but there's no financial benefit that comes from the extra work that you take on. And what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to think that just because you have a big heart or because you're very giving or you're very empathetic, that means that you're supposed to give more and you're supposed to work harder and you're supposed to work overtime because you're a social worker and because you're in social services. Just because you're a social worker doesn't mean that you shouldn't be compensated for doing extra work and taking on extra assignments. So if your company is normalizing the extra thing that you're doing to just be business as usual, that can be a red flag that work that you're doing is not positioning you for a higher pay or having a conversation about a raise. Because let's think about it. You're probably the one that's working overtime, putting out the fires, keeping everything afloat, probably taking on some of the roles and responsibilities of your supervisor. People come to you for your knowledge and your expertise, and you're supposed to be the one who can figure it out. So if you step back from that role and you really look objectively about how you're valued in the company, not just someone who they can always depend on or someone who's always there, but someone who they see as an asset who deserves to be compensated. So I want you to look objectively here and really decide and figure out, how are you viewed within the company? How do supervisors see you? How do your coworkers see you? Because at the end of the day, even in corporate situations or in business environments, you teach people how to treat you. And if you show that you will do more, that you will take more, then, oh, it's okay, it's fine, I got it, I can handle it. And that is the exchange that you will continue to have with supervisors until you set the time and the intention to have a conversation about paying you more money. And I mentioned part of this in my negotiation video right here, where I mentioned about keeping track of your wins and your successes and the results that you're getting within the company. That's exactly what I want you to do here. I want you to track your achievements and track your outcomes. Did you reduce a caseload? Did you implement a new system or increase client satisfaction? I want you to bring those numbers to your next review and have an intentional conversation about a raise, because I'm sure you and everybody in the company knows that you deserve it. And number 2, why overachieving and overperforming might be working against you is because your employer might have the desire to keep you right where you are. So if you're their top employee, you get good reviews and people love working with you at a micro level, and you want to transition to a supervisor's role, they might be more inclined to keep you in that role because you do so well. And they might value you so much in that role that they don't want you to move up. Because when you move up, that means they have to find a replacement for you. And if you consistently perform at high levels or above high levels, they see you as essential right where you are and might overlook you for advancement opportunities. So in this regard, is working against you because your overperformance is becoming a norm in the company. And then your boss stops seeing this as, something extra or something that you're doing to go above and beyond, and then it becomes an expectation. This is something else that I want you to consider. Your extra effort might not lead to a raise, but it might lead to higher expectations, which can be just as problematic because everyone around you or all your other coworkers are then expected to meet that same standard because they say, well, if you're meeting it, then everybody else should be able to meet it. So you can unintentionally create new standards and expectations for your team simply by continuing to do above what's asked and required. And don't get me wrong, companies love employees who go above and beyond. They love employees who stay past the time they're scheduled, who are willing to come in on the weekends, who come in early and do multiple tasks beyond the role that they're paid for. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't work on special projects. I've done that in many roles. But you have to be careful that the extra work that you take on is not you doing another role where another job title, salary expectation, and work schedule could be created. So know that if you're doing a role and an entire job can be created from the work that you're doing, you're probably operating too much outside of the scope of the job that you were hired for. And I think it's okay to say no to tasks that aren't advancing your career. Number 3 is because maybe at your company or agency, raises aren't tied to performance. And this is something that you should absolutely know either when you're at the negotiating table, when you're first interviewing for the job, or when you're doing your evaluations with your supervisor. You should clearly be asking your supervisor, what is the company looking for in order to consider advancement? What are those KPIs or top indicators that they want to see their employees meet in order to consider them for a promotion? So if you don't know this information, or you're thinking that working harder or working more or working longer is going to show your boss or show your supervisor that you should be eligible or the one up next for a promotion, they might not even be looking at your work through the lens that you are. That's why you want to get clarity on how the work that you're doing ties to your ability to advance. And this is often true. I talk a lot about nonprofits because sometimes budgets, funders, grants, or outdated or antiquated systems that they're used to operating under, oftentimes those things drive their financial decisions, not necessarily how well you're doing in the role. Number 4 is because you're scared to ask and you're not advocating for yourself. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of tough love here because you can't expect your supervisor to be a mind reader. If you haven't explicitly made it clear that your goal is to get a raise, and you've laid out or defined the terms of what it will take for you to get a raise, and you've laid out and made a case as to why you deserve it, then it would make sense for you to have a conversation around a raise. But if you've not done any of those things and you're scared to bring it up and you're just hoping that your supervisor will notice all of the work that you're doing and call you into their office and say, hey, we think we want to give you a raise, that's typically not going to happen. They're probably going to say, thank you for your hard work. Thank you for staying over. Keep it up. We need more employees like you. They might give you some type of appreciation, meaning a recognition, a cake, a pen, or something that says job well done, but it doesn't mean that that's going to equate into financial gain or increased income. So I want you to ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen? I've never heard of a company terminating or demoting someone for asking for a raise. They actually expect you to ask. And if your company does get offended if you ask for a raise, if you do work in one of those companies, like, how dare you ask for a raise? We're all about the people. We're all about our clients. We're client centered. We're client focused. It's not about us. We're service workers. If you do work for a company like that, it's probably safe to assume that they don't value the work that you're doing. And if your goal is to get a raise, you probably want to transition into something that's more value aligned anyway. And what that looks like is working for a company who understands that extra work should equate to higher income. But at the end of the day, your career is in your hands. It's your responsibility to ask for the things that you want, to lay out the terms for how you can get what you want, and to set the expectation of advancement, not to stay stuck in a role for 10, 15 years. So use this video as an opportunity to really assess if you've been putting yourself out there confidently, asking for what you want, or if you've been hoping that your overperformance will be seen by your supervisor as a reason for a promotion or a raise, because it's typically not going to work like that. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. I'll be releasing more videos to help you deepen your level of self-awareness and to increase your competence and confidence in the profession. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, be well.